What's going on, Saucy?
What's up, Nordo? How are you, man?
It's a beautiful day. So beautiful, in fact, we decided to do this Facebook thing again.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it. It was really fun last night. We had some good information last night with the I have a blanket on because I'm always cold, but we had
Yeah, you
great
have poor
information last
circulation.
night. I do. I'm old, but I mean, it's just we're a week away. Right now, you and I will be probably texting back and forth a week from today about all the latest steam and how the steam just kind of starts to add up starting right now. And
Absolutely.
then it's but I just love this time of year because there's so much stuff that no one wants to believe. There's so much stuff that we're not gonna that is just said to be said about all these teams that want to move back. I mean, there was a rumor I read this morning about how Cleveland is already looking to move back so they can take another off. There's another offensive tackle they want, which why don't they just stay at 10 and take maybe the second best tackle? It doesn't make much sense.
Well, what's their pick situation? I mean, do they want to gain equity? Or like we have 12, do they have like 6? I mean, I don't know
I
what
don't
kind of
know.
moves because they spent all those picks trying to get OBJ and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good point. Browns they have 7 picks. So,
Okay.
yeah, I could see that. They have, let's see here. The Browns have 10, 41, 2 third rounds, a 4th round, no 5th, and then a 6th and a 7th. So they have a pick in every round but the 5th round.
Are you sad that it sounds like Odell's not going to be coming here?
Yeah, but the weird part about this is like the path that like every single one of these he's not being traded follows. Like it's the same formula. Like, yeah. I mean, granted, it was 5 months apart, but the same tweets about Odell Beckham Jr. were said about Stephon Diggs. I mean, Adam Schefter came out and was like, he won't be traded unless it's for huge. Now, they're not going to trade him in season, but now they've come out and the Browns, is it their GM? Whoever it is, has come out and basically said, like, all that's false. But what is he supposed to say? Like, is he supposed to come out and go, oh, yeah, we want to trade him, so that gives up all their leverage. He can't get – and I know that it's probably 5%, but we've seen this media game played before all the time. He's not available. Okay, Stephon Diggs wasn't available at the Combine. You were there. They're not trading Stephon Diggs. A year ago at the a year ago at the Combine, Odell Beckham Jr. is not getting traded from the New York Giants. We don't sign players to sign him. What happened? They traded him. And I don't think he's going to come here, but I think they're going to move him.
Yeah. Yeah, very well might. As we were texting, I did not catch Kirk Cousins on your radio show this morning. What was that about?
Well, we had him on, and he talked about, how the bit that he talked about – Hockey asked him the question about, what he meant about the playing games without fans. It'd be refreshing, and just how everybody took it the wrong way. And he just said obviously the problem that we run into, Nordo, and you and I know this, is there are so many people, and not a lot of media members, but there are some media members who just despise him. And it's like, why? Yeah. So as Guardsy brilliantly brought up yesterday on Bumper to Bumper, LeBron James less than a month ago said, I'm not playing without fans. And they were like, well, why would you say that? Now he says something extremely innocent about how it may be refreshing. And I don't think he meant like, we don't want fans. He didn't mean any of it. He just basically reiterated about how, like, he didn't mean any of that. He just thought that, they just took it the wrong way. We just talked to him about some other stuff, and it was fun to hear him. And he said he's going to be locked into the draft. And I asked him the question. I said, you're on the internet. You follow this stuff. You're in tune. Do you ever watch guys like you and I do, or like, oh, Justin Jefferson is being mocked to the Vikings? Do you ever watch highlights on him? And he said, no, I wait till they're taken. And he said, the second we drafted Brian O'Neill, his offensive coordinator at Michigan State now coaches at Pitt. So he's like, I got a hold of that guy instantly. So he does his homework. So I thought that was kind of cool that he just immediately gets on the phone with these guys and gets them, because he's a captain of the team. He's a great leader, man, and he takes too much crap in this town because of what he gets paid. He didn't, it's what he was worth. He played the game right, and it's what he's worth. What's he going to do? Say no? It's just dumb.
Yeah, it is. I think it's easy, though. Like, I think Kirk's an easy target because he's so innocent. I mean, yeah. I like Kirk a lot as a human being, and he's a really good player. We know that. Can he get us to a Super Bowl? That's a different thing. But it's so easy to take pot shots at somebody when they're never going to respond. So whether it's his Monday night record,
correct.
Overall, and all of that, really the first hump he got over was winning in New Orleans, a beautiful OT throw to Thielen. But, like, he's never going to chirp back at anybody. And so, when you have guys out there right now, like, as much as I adore Florio and I respect his opinions, he's kind of turned into the TMZ side of things. He's got some hall monitor to it now with
100%
and all that. And so, you got hall monitor Florio and some of these guys that love just stirring the pot and just adding to the negativity of it. I mean, Kirk clearly did not mean, yeah, maybe it's cool if the 65,000 people that are technically paying part of my massive paycheck, yeah, why don't they just take the weekends off from now on?
No,
he didn't mean that.
We don't like no. But people, he's the kind of guy that people look for anything to pile on him, and I hate that because he's a good guy. And I mean, he won a playoff game in New Orleans. How many people can say that they've done that? Brett Favre, when we had him, he didn't win a playoff game in New Orleans. I mean,
way to bring that up.
Well, yeah, that's a sore spot. But yeah, there's a lot of positive things going on, and football is the one thing I think in this weird pandemic that a lot of people have kind of put on their calendar to look forward to.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Okay, just think about it for a second. So we can go over tackles over and over again and what to do at 22 and 25. I'm just curious what your opinion is. What do you think the biggest loss is that the Vikings have sustained this offseason other than Stephon Diggs? So forget about Diggs. Look at the guys that are no longer on this team as we get closer to the draft. What do you think the most vital loss has been?
Well, I think Wayne's or Rhodes. Rhodes was awful, but you lose both your starting corners. Excuse me. And now you have one corner on the team that you could maybe that is serviceable, and that's Mike Hughes, who has yet to put together a full season, It's Mike Hughes. So then you lose those two. I think it's Trey Waynes. I thought for sure they would get Trey Waynes back. The Everson Griffin thing kind of sucks, but, I think he'll eventually come back. I bet he re-signs before the draft starts just so maybe to give himself a little leverage that they don't take a defensive end 22 or 25. And I think they take him back with open arms. I think he's realized that the market hasn't been set because Jadeveon Clowney isn't in any hurry to sign with a team because he doesn't need the money, and they just it's a weird thing that they can't. It's just a weird offseason for everybody because of the pandemic. But I would say it's Trey Waynes. Who do you think it is?
Well, I was thinking about this, and Trey Waynes is probably the right answer. I like Trey a lot. No ball skills whatsoever. What's that about? But just as a tackler, 2019 wasn't fantastic or as good as it could have been. But what about Mackenzie Alexander? And the reason I bring that up, filling that nickel corner spot, you remember when Mackenzie was a rookie and we were trying, and Terrence Newman was about 80 years old, and we were trying to figure out what we could do in that spot. And Mackenzie would come in and it'd be his first snap in 4 games, it's 3rd and goal, and suddenly he's matched up on Anquan Bolden when he was with the Lions. Mackenzie Alexander was a disaster early on, and ultimately he improved to a point where he was as vital at times as anybody in that secondary. And now I'm thinking about it. If Mike Hughes is able to stay healthy and all of those things, we keep focusing on who we want as a corner in the first round. But I still think, that slot corner spot in this league in these days is so important, and we don't have an answer there either.
He signed a 1-year, $4 million deal with Cincinnati. How did the Vikings not just sign him to a 2-year, $8 million deal with like 5 of it guaranteed? I don't know how they didn't just why. And I thought it was really weird when he left. I thought it was like a secondary exodus when they're like, yeah, we've had enough. Like they all left. Sendejo left, even though Sendejo I think is super overrated. Mack left. Trey left. Rhodes was cut. But you know what I mean? Like it's just really weird that the whole secondary's gone. And you could have got – it's not like Mac Alexander signed a 4-year, $60 million deal. He signed a 4-year or a 1-year, $4 million deal. That's
clearly there's negativity there, right?
Yeah, of course. That's probably what they'll sign Ev to is a 1-year deal like that. Yeah. I don't know what it is. It's almost like they were tired of being coached by Mike. I have no idea. It's just I thought for sure they bring him back, and you nailed it. You need guys like that you can put on a third wide receiver. You play Arizona, you can put on Fitz for, a third down play in that slot situation. Because now you're either going to have a rookie play it or somebody that they either A, get off the street, or B, has no experience playing it.
Well, and that's the key too, is a lot of times that third wide receiver or that slot spot, that ain't your worst receiver. I mean, typically that's your shiftiest guy. That's a possession guy. That's an important guy. You look at how the Niners operate offensively. They put Deebo Samuel or somebody there. He can't throw it to the freaking sideline, so he's going to run right up those numbers, and that's an important spot. We don't have that guy. Now, I wanted to do this for those that are listening. You may or may not have done this, but I have nothing in my life at this point other than my kids.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to find deep draft gems. And so I want those that are listening right now via Zoom, Facebook, wherever, I need you to tell me what you think about. Here you go, Saucy. This is going to blow your mind. His name is Charlie Heck. He is a left tackle from the University of North Carolina. He's 6'8", 315 pounds. He started 35 games. He's played both sides of the line, Saucy. I know you're all about making sure that these guys have flexibility, and this is the perfect day 3 swing tackle. So I need calling out all rubes. Get on Google and put on your best Gil Brandt hats and tell me what you think of this guy. His dad is the O-line coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. Charlie Heck needs to be a member of the Minnesota Vikings on day 3. Saucy, you couldn't care less about day 3 selections. You're all about the glitz and the glamour of the first round, I understand. But Charlie Heck, University of North Carolina, the next member of the Vikings Ring of Honor.
See, I like that kind of stuff. I like when 4th and 5th and 6th round guys work out. I mean, when you say day 3, is this like a 6th round pick? Is this
this is a fifth round guy. This is a 5th round guy.
This is a guy they're going to take a flyer on then.
Yeah, and the cool thing about this 5th round pick is that we know that Rick Spielman and the Vikings have had a tremendous amount of luck drafting day 3 offensive linemen over the last decade. So I'm sure that my opinion is going to be fantastic and it's going to work out perfectly.
Yeah, I like that kind of thing, Nordo. I like that you do it, man. I like that you look up these guys, and I like that you and I are going to be sitting there. This is what makes the Friday, and then, of course, the Saturday show we're going to do noon to 3. Hey, did you see we might get Dan Orlovsky, or how do you pronounce it?
Orlovsky?
Yeah, we might get him on Saturday. I tweeted at him today
sweet.
I tweeted at him about how good he is on ESPN, and he instantly responded. And I said, you should come on with us. And he said, yeah, if I'm around, just let me know. So we exchanged information. So we might have him on Saturday. But I like that on next Saturday when you and I are going possibly 11 to 3, because we could go, whatever it is. You're going to know names and you're going to have information on some of these late round guys like you always do. And I think that's what makes it fun. A question I have for you, because I'm a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd round guy. I'm a country club guy. I'm the kind of guy that likes, the high end stuff.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you earlier.
Anywhere you can wear a hat, of course.
Well, man, poor AJ. I turned the Zoom on and I looked up and I didn't have a hat on. He turned to stone. I think it was so bad. But you talked about it today, man. And I like how when you and PA talk about something, it gets me my my NFL draft steam. I'm all NFL draft. All I've watched all week because I can't nap. That's how excited I am. All I've watched is ESPN and NFL Network. You guys brought up today about possibly trading up in the first round to get an offensive lineman. One, is this something that you think will happen? Is this something PA thinks will happen more importantly? And B, after you answer, I have the number we should get up to make that happen.
Ooh, I like that. So it started off our conversation last night because, the idea with Rick Spielman is always he's going to move back. He's tricky. He's always going to be more strategic and more prepared than everybody, which he very well might be. Typically does a good job on the front end of drafts. But the idea is if this team wants, how do I put it this way? Do you want the sixth best tackle or the second best corner? Kind of that conversation in terms of if you're going to sit at 22 and Jedrick Wills and Becton and all those guys are gone, how much do you really like Austin Jackson? And so last night we talked about, for me, I'm much higher on Josh Jones than I was a couple of days ago, thanks to Corey Chavis for that. So I'm in on the Corey Jones. But let's say their favorite guy, I just can't get out of this draft without Tristan Wirfs. Okay, well, now how far do you have to trade up? And so I'm interested to hear how far you think, and I bet we're going to land on the same answer. But the reality of it is if they like a guy, then they can't wait until 22 or 25. They're going to have to address it. And if they want a 10-year left tackle, they might have to trade up. It's going to cost them some draft equity. But I'm excited about that prospect, not for a wide receiver, but in particular for a beefy offensive lineman that'll be our guy for a long time.
Here's the beauty of the draft and how it's going to unveil itself here in a week. It's one of the strongest offensive tackle drafts. It's a bad interior lineman draft, but like even guys like Bucky Brooks and Bucky Brooks has his top 5 guys like updated I think yesterday on NFL.com. It's Jedrick Willis, Tristan Wirfs, Andrew Thomas, Becton, and then Austin Jackson, excuse me. You talk to Lieber, his favorite guy is Andrew Thomas. I think Jedrick, Tristan, or Andrew, or Becton, one of those 4 who anyone can argue. And Andy, you could have Becton at 1. There's so many different ways these guys are ranked, it depending on who you ask. One of those guys is going to be available, and I think it's pick 13 you got to get to. I think if you can get – San Francisco owns pick 13. I think if you can get your way to pick 13, and as you and I know, Nordo, most mock drafts now from, reasonable people who do their research and are the people who are connected, they do it based on what they're hearing. Multiple mock drafts I've looked at have the Vikings trading up to pick 13. I think San Francisco would love to get back to 22 or further back, collect more equity, and just build on that young team that was in the Super Bowl last year. I think they want to get back to 22, and I think you could get any one of those 4 at 13. You got to get in front of Tampa, who picks 14. Tampa, who is another team that desperately needs offensive line. I think pick 13 is the answer, and I think you could give up 22, maybe both of your third-round picks, and you could get up to 13.
So I think you hit it on the back end there. I think the key to it is because Tampa should draft a left tackle to protect old man Brady. And so because that's kind of where that water level is, I would agree with you to get to 13. And the other aspect of this too is post DeForest Buckner trade, the Niners actually have 2 first-round picks. They'll pick 31st, I believe, as well, given that they made it to the Super Bowl. But then after that, they got nothing until the 5th round. And so the idea is, if again, similarly to the Vikings and how you want to navigate, how many picks can you get in the first 2 days of a draft, that would be terrific for them to try and move back. And if Tristan Wirfs is the name, if your guy Andrew Thomas is the name, and he's there, and that's their name as well, I'd be intrigued about potentially moving up.
Would you give up 2/3 to get up there? I mean,
That's what
going
it would
from
cost.
yeah, which is fine, and that's something I would assume the 49ers would want. And in this weird offseason that it is, I would bet these conversations have already kind of started. The GMs have said, hey, if this falls this way and player X is here at 13, would you take our 22 and 2 third-round picks to move back? And they might. And I think the Vikings have the beauty of the Vikings is they have the safety net at 25. It's not like this is one shot. That's why I think with 23 and 25, with having that second first-round pick, they're more likely to move up because they have 2 lottery tickets in the first round, and I think that will help them decide if they want to move up. And if one of those 4 linemen are there, go get him, and then you move Riley into guard and you just roll with it. Or as Leo said earlier on your show, if let's say Tristan Wirfs is there at 13, move up there, take him, put him at left guard, and then just roll.
Yeah. Well, and again, I think overall the interior of our line, if we're just looking at 2020 and we're not looking at 2021 and beyond, the interior of our line is indeed what needs the most work. I mean, you subtract Josh Klein. I don't know what the hell's up with Elfline. And then Drew Samia, an unproven 4th rounder from a year ago with like 30 snaps of experience. So that's what needs the most work. But if, this Riley Reef thing, do you just force him into it? You just say, hey, you're under contract. You're going to play left guard. Let's see what happens. And I don't know where Riley's head's at in terms of what he would do with that.
And who knows? But I think Riley being a captain and being a vet, like your guy said this morning, I think he'd roll right into it. I think he'd go, all right. I mean, if not, what are you going to do? Cut me? You still have to pay me. But, yeah, he's a captain of the football team. I think he's one of those guys that go, yeah, I'll do whatever I need. But if you're Elfline and you're going, they're going to take, let's say they take Tristan Wirfs at 13. Let's say that's where they get. Hey, if you're Elfline, man, I don't know. I mean, he makes the team because he's cheap, but man, he may be. I don't know if he makes the team if that's the scenario.
Yeah, and maybe again, it's tough because his rookie year he was really good at center, and then he's hurt leading into the 2018, and just didn't have it all together, and then last year completely discombobulated. So I'm curious what their actual opinion is in house of them. Now, Saucy, if they were to move up, and let's say it is their 2 third-round picks, because if you're San Francisco, you're looking for as much as you can. If you're the Vikings, I wouldn't want to give up pick 58, right? So if you give up your 2, that means you have a total of 3 picks in the first 2 days. Are you cool with that? Your 2 first-rounders, Wirfs or Thomas or whoever, another guy, and then 1 at 58. And would you wash your hands of that? Would you try to move back into it with your later-round picks?
Yeah, because I think if you get one of those top offensive linemen, whatever one that they deem worthy of moving up, 9 spots to get, I think you roll with it. Plus, then at 25, if you go up to 13 and you get the guy you wanted, and they're going to tell us regardless that it's the guy they wanted, and then you go to 25, you take best player available. If you get out of this with like Wirfs and Gladney, the TCU corner, and then some wide receiver, maybe at 58 you get the guy you love out of USC, you get KJ Hamler out of Penn State. Yeah, hell yeah. I mean, those are 3 dynamite prospects. You got at Wirfs, if it's Wirfs or whoever it is, you got a day 1 offensive line starter. Whoever you get at 2 is a cornerback. 25 almost has to be a cornerback. And if not, if you think Gladney will be available at 35, find some team that up towards the top didn't get a quarterback, and then see if somebody wants to move up in front of whoever. If Jordan Love is still there at 25, then you see if one of these teams will bite to come back up and you move back and you get more equity. They got all kinds of ammo to move up, man. I'd love to see it. I'm down. Are you?
If that's their plan, and then they can move 25 back a titch to get the guy they want and get another pick, then I'm in on it. That's for me. I mean, I'm still looking at the now and the tomorrow. And if this is the legendary offensive tackle draft and they believe that, then I'm in, man. Then I'm in.
Yeah. You're off the boat of moving up for a wide receiver at 13.
Yeah, absolutely not. I don't want to do that at all. I believe this is, as we talked about yesterday, a deep class, not a classic class. So I'm not in on moving up and giving up 2 third-rounders or whatever it would be to move up 6, 7 spots to get one of those guys. I don't believe any of those guys is the next Julio Jones.
Let's say they're – yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Let's say that their guy, Nordo up top, is the right tackle out of Alabama. Let's say it's Jedrick Wills, and he's there at whatever, 13. He's a right tackle. What do you do? Do you move up to get him, and then do you have him play left?
So I was reading an article that he has been attempting to make that transition. So, but he hasn't. But he was the right tackle at Alabama. So what does that mean? He's talented. He's an absolute athletic beast. I mean, he fist fights people out there. He throws people around like rag dolls. All of that's sweet. You'd have to ask for me, like just as like a fantasy football rube standpoint, I don't understand why it's so difficult for a guy to make that transition. You're pushing off a different leg, though. There's coordination. There's instinctual things that shouldn't have to think about pre-snap. So I don't know how all that comes together. But if they love him, then I would prefer that he starts day one at left tackle instead of having to move Brian O'Neill.
If you had to be right, would you say they trade up next Thursday?
No.
Oh, really?
I think they'll stick at 22 and 25. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But these are all options.
Yeah.
I can't wait either. What do you got on the show tomorrow?
We got the initials game with you. We got what else?
Still pissed about that.
Yeah, well, you lost your
I don't care.
Yeah, we have the initials game. That's, we'll roll into a lot of fun stuff. Fridays are always great, and we'll get out of there, and then we'll prepare for the week that is the draft. I'm sure you guys got a ton of great stuff tomorrow.
When do you start clanking tomorrow?
Probably 1. I'm going to come home and attempt to ride the Peloton because I've basically turned into the largest human of all time. Probably about 1. You?
You know what's funny is your screen froze around the same time. Be almost a karmic convergence there as your screen froze on me while you were pretending that you were going to exercise tomorrow. We have Mo Williams on tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's the 04 Green Bay playoff game that we're playing back on Sunday, I believe. So we're having Mo Williams on. Charge, obviously. Don't tell anybody, but it's his birthday today, Thursday. So we're going to pump him up a bit tomorrow. We got Chad Greenway. Heavy on the draft, obviously, because it'll be Charch's last time on the radio before draft day.
And then I heard your guy talk multiple times. Thursday is Lieber, Charch, and PA, right?
That's what it sounds like, yeah. So it'll be those guys either 6:30 to 10, 7 to 10, something like that. You and I will be in the mix heavy on Friday and Saturday, and hopefully we're pumped up about our new Vikings.
Yeah, I'm pumped. All right, if you want to socially drink tomorrow, maybe via Zoom, let me know.
Sounds good, homie.
All right, thanks, brother.
All right, and make sure to tell me about Charlie Heck, everybody. Cheers. Take care.